Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I am Joey Calvo. Our podcast is part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,100 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at https://worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Today, I have the honor of sitting down with author, actor, and model Tim Kent Smith. He has a new book out called Behind the Hedgerows, and so we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss a little bit about him as well. If you have any questions for our guests, just put it in the comments. I do have one question that's going to come up from our number one fan, supporter, and real-life superheroine, America Fox. She has a question for you that will interest you. Actually, it's kind of two. The first one is it was an HGTV show.
Okay.
So, and then the second one's who you think. So I'll just give you that heads up on that.
Okay.
So, Tim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, first of all.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
So please tell me all about who is Tim Kent Smith?
Who is Timothy Kent Smith?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I go by Tim, but I have to use that as my stage name because if you Google Tim Smith, there's like 7,000 people. Not all as together as me. Anyway, I am at the heart of it a storyteller, and I'm the guy next door. I'm the guy you live next to, the guy you wave to who's getting his mail when you drive by. Very unassuming. People look right by me, but I've had a pretty interesting life, or at least I think I have. And most people have. They just always look at other people and think it's so more dramatic. But you said on one of your podcasts earlier that I was listening to, you said everybody has a story to tell.
That's correct.
I did that. So who better to tell your story than you?
Yep.
So through this fictional novel, I kind of told about a part of my life, a crazy 10 years that I experienced living in the Hamptons. And I wrote about it and changed some things around to take just enough facts and just enough fiction to spin a tale that I hope people find interesting and entertaining. So that's who I am.
Okay. All right. So in the description, I did put in about the book. So what led you into writing the book?
Well, I just so here's a little bit more about who I am. When I graduated college, I was a physical education major, and I took a teaching job for 3 years. And then I got hired at a university. And I got my master's degree in exercise physiology. And during that time, another colleague of mine and we opened a consulting company. And that consulting company led us out to Gurney's International Health and Beauty Spa in Montauk, New York, which at the time was one of the top 6 spas in the world. And working there, I met a number of extremely interesting people. I met let's say mobsters. I met TV personalities, movie personalities, models, and then people who had even more money than those people who were just rich because they were into IPOs or corporate raiders or they married into money. And I'm from very modest means. So I just observed and took all these people in. And then one day a woman came to me, a very nice lady. She was absolutely wonderful. And she said to me, would you be interested in being my private trainer? And I thought, sure, why not? It would be an interesting thing to do. So I took her up on her offer, and one thing led to another. And then she put me in touch with some of her friends. And before I knew it, I had left the university. I was doing all these private trainings with yet another company. A friend of mine and I opened a physical therapy center in the Hamptons. I was a money partner because I'm not a licensed physical therapist. We had celebrities and uber rich coming through that too. And just observing these people, I saw a whole different side of life. And I thought, why not spin a tale about the rich and famous, seeing some of the behaviors I saw that were both comical, shocking, evoked a wide range of emotions. So that's what I did, protecting the people involved so that I never mentioned their names or their streets or businesses' names. But if you are familiar with the Hamptons, you'll probably read the book and know some of the restaurants I'm talking about, and some of the discos that were there back in the 80s that aren't there now.
I've never been to the Hamptons, just to give you an idea. I mean, I always hear about it. And in reference to meeting famous people, I've gotten to know some famous people from doing this podcast, and are still very good friends with, even after all this time. And one of them was supermodel Carol Alt. And she still lives in New York, and we chat once in a while. I had her on the podcast in the beginning. This was before we went to this platform in reference to YouTube, and we tried to do it. She tried to do it through Instagram, and I was like, "Well, we can't do it through Instagram." So she wound up calling in, and we did it that way. The other person, if you ever get a chance to go to the YouTube channel, was Gregory Jabbar from Blue Bloods, who plays Deputy Commissioner Garrett Moore. I had him on, and when we did that podcast 2 to 3 years ago, that was when William Shatner was going to space. So when the audio podcast ended, we were on YouTube, and as we were on YouTube is when William Shatner went to space, and that we continued there on it. So, all right. So mainly, you got involved, mixing with the mafia and getting your physical therapy business up and running, and as a cash partner, because like you said, you weren't a licensed physical therapist. How long did you have that business going for?
So all included, I was out in the Hamptons for about 10 years. At first, I was still working at the university as I built the businesses. And then probably the last 6 years, it was just pretty much living out there, working out there and doing that. And like I said, it was a wonderful time. I saw a lot of behaviors and that were comical, but at the same time were sad. And the one thing I learned is just watching the top 1%ers, the rich. I'll give you a quick story. This will just tell you the type of people I had. I'm exercising this woman one day. She's in her bedroom. Her bedroom is bigger than any house I ever lived in. And the phone rings. And back then you had the push button phones. Now her husband was having an affair. She knew it. I knew it. Probably most of the town knew it. And the phone rings. So she jumped off that floor. I never saw her move so fast in my life. And she hits number one and she's like, hello. And I'm sure she thought it was the girlfriend calling during an exercise session. So what happened was she goes like this. Oh, hello, Mr. President. Please hold on. I'll get him for you. And she hits 2 and she tells her husband, Ronnie's on the phone. So these are the types of people I'm dealing with. One time I'm showing up for an appointment and I get stopped at the front gate because the Secret Service was still there. And they said, are you Mr. Smith? I'm like 27 years old. I'm like, yes. And they said, can you just wait over here for 5 minutes, please? We're running a little late. And Jimmy and Rosalind Carter left. They had lunch there that day. And then, of course, I came in for an exercise session after that to calm the lady of the house down. So these are the types of people I was dealing with, which was nothing like what I grew up with. And and again, it's really, the book is really about human nature, because it's about the choices we make based on the temptations we are have thrown at us, and then what are the consequences of those actions. So are we, if we get a second chance, are we going to take advantage of that? I mean, I'm sure we'd all love a redo in our life. There's certain things in our life we wish we hadn't done or wish we had done more of. And so that's really what the book is about. So I would hope at the end of the day, after reading the book, people were entertained. People had all their emotions tickled, from laughter to crying to being angry, and then reflect on their own lives and things they've done. And are they willing to give people a second chance? So that's really what the book is about, but it's set in the Hamptons, which a lot of people kind of hold in awe and don't really fully understand.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, our podcast #1 supporter, huge fan, contributor, I call her, real life superheroine, American Fox, actually had 2 questions.
Okay.
The first question that she had was this: was he part of House Hunters?
Yes.
Okay. You
want to hear how that came about? So my wife and I are. I'm getting. So after I did all this in the Hamptons, I went back into teaching, and got married, had a son. Our son's in 10th grade. He's a pretty good lacrosse player. Actually has 2 national rings. Pretty proud of that.
Yep.
And he's in 10th grade, and I knew, and my wife knew, we weren't going to have many years left for family vacations, because he was going to be going to recruitment camps and be very busy. So we said, let's pick a place to go on vacation. You picked the place, and he picked Costa Rica. I had to look it up on the map. I had no idea where Costa Rica truly was. So we go down to Costa Rica. We had a great time. Long story made short, we bought a condo. And we were thinking that when I retired, this would be our snowbird getaway. We'd go to Costa Rica in the winters. We absolutely loved it. And we get a call from a realtor one day in Costa Rica, and he says, would you guys like to be on House Hunters International? And I immediately said, yeah, of course. And my wife's like, whoa, wait a minute. What's that all about? So we auditioned, and we got selected, and we used our condo, and we were on House Hunters International. That was quite a few years ago. But that's important, because what happened was the producer and director said to me, and I thought she was blowing smoke at first, but she was very serious about it. She said, when you retire in a couple of years, you should go into doing commercials or doing acting. She said, because you're just very natural on screen. And I said, well, what's the big deal? And she said, well, people do 2 things usually. They either overact or they freeze. She goes, but you're just yourself, so natural. And I said, well, if we screw it up, we can just film it again, right? And she said, oh yeah, absolutely. So I thought, well, that's cool. And so when I retired, I kept that tucked in the back of my mind, because I had a great 2 weeks filming. I loved the way they did it. I loved the way they told the story at the end, because I knew what really went on a set and what they did. 40 hours. We filmed for over 40 hours to get 24 minutes. And some of the stuff that was in the show, B-roll, I never even saw taking place. And I just had such a great time that when I retired, I started a second career and got into this. And I've had a great time with it. So and I don't do anything live except, well, this is the most live I think I've ever done a show.
Okay.
So you're an important man, Joey Calvo.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so that's how the House Hunters came about and how I got involved. And that, believe it or not, when you apply for other jobs and audition, that carries a lot of weight on the resume. So
the other question she had is, what's his favorite Hallmark actor or actress and movies?
Favorite? That's hard to say because so many of them are different types of actors and actresses. I don't watch a lot of Hallmark movies. I find them to be very similar, but around Christmas time, holidays, I do watch some. I think some of my favorite actresses probably would be Julia Roberts. She keeps my attention. She's really good. And going back, some of the older actresses like Katharine Hepburn. We watch it. My wife and I watch a lot of TCM.
Yeah.
So they really keep your attention. And what I do now is anytime I watch a movie or TV show, I'm watching it totally different than I used to, because I'm not just watching the storyline. I'm watching what people are doing when the camera's not on them or when it is on them and stuff. So I don't really have any favorites that I could lock in on, but I can really appreciate what those two do and bring to the table.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of that part. So let me get that off there, because
Joe, it's like you're just moving on.
yeah, yeah, because I'm just trying to figure out how to keep it going.
All right.
Yeah. So so you got into acting. You became an actor and a model, and so you started doing, after you did House Hunters. What type of shows and movies did you do during that time?
Well, I've been doing House Hunters was actually in, I believe it was 2008. You have my website up. Somebody could go and check. I didn't retire till 2015, and I started doing this in 2016. I have several agents, and they're wonderful, and they get different types of jobs. And I don't look at any job as being too big or too small. I never look at pay, and the pay varies widely. I just look at get work, get in front of a camera, get better. Each director, each set will teach you something if you're willing to learn. And so that's what I do. And curiously, I've also had a number of, and this blows my mind. I've had, and keep in mind, I'm not doing movies in great parts where I'm going to get an Emmy. I'm doing commercials. I've had a number of people say to me, don't ever take an acting lesson. Just build, like if you're going to be a mailman, think about what mailmen in your life have looked like and done, and then go do it. So that's the type of work I'm doing. So I've been in several national commercials. I was grandpa. I get a lot of grandpa roles. I grow a beard pretty quick. I was on Hulu for Hasbro Baby Alive. My wife and I were in Balsam Hill Christmas tree ads. It ran for 2 years. I do regional ads. I've been in an Audibel hearing ad that's been running in Florida for 3 months now during the PGA tournament. A couple of weekends ago, it was on like 12 to 15 times. I have a shoot tomorrow for a financial company down in Punta Gorda. I'm going to be in a movie with dialogue that I'm very excited about. I can't talk about it, but I'm going to be in it as a prosecutor. That's going to film in the Tampa area in August. So I'll grow a full beard for that. And I'm excited because it has a lot of dialogue. I did a TV pilot show that hasn't been picked up, but it was a great experience because I had a lot of dialogue. So I just look at any job as like I said, a chance to. I was an extra on a number of movie sets because I wanted to learn what that was all about. so that I can show people I know how to behave. I think the biggest ad I did was for Sprite, and it's out. It's out on the web. I have not seen it on TV yet, but it's with Sha'Carri Richardson. It'll probably air a lot during the Olympics. It's a Sprite ad where I'm an angry commentator. Think of Skip Bayless. So that just got released, and that was a great shoot. That was done up in the Orlando area. So a little bit of travel for stuff.
Okay. Now this movie that you can't mention, is it with an A-lister celebrity?
I really don't know because I don't know who the other cast members are.
Oh, okay.
The one thing they do a lot of in this business is it's a need to know. Like sometimes you don't know the full storyline. You just and I find that frustrating sometimes because if I knew what the whole concept was, I'd know what my part is a little better. That's not how it works. And I think they're afraid that loose lips will sink ships. So everybody has the most creative idea going. So all I can tell you is the gentleman involved has done a number of other movies.
Okay.
I auditioned for one role. Didn't get that, but they loved me, so they actually created 2 scenes for me, which they think will add to the movie. And I have no idea who I'm playing opposite or anything. So,
so we'll be on the lookout for that. All right, so we got the author taken care of. We've got the acting taken care of. What got you into modeling?
Well, the modeling kind of is part of the acting, because if you're doing because you got to remember I don't think of myself as an actor for movies and TV shows, although I've done a small amount of that. But mostly what I do is commercials. So for a lot of, especially pharmaceutical commercials, it's just photographs. So I've done, for example, brochure work for Perlator oil and air filters, for Welsh Allen medical devices. You know, I'm laying in an ICU bed, all hooked up, and there's a photo of me in the catalog. So that's the modeling part. But believe it or not, pharmaceutical ads are what really pays the big money. That's the jobs you want.
Right. All right. So what kind of advice would you give someone who may be interested in getting into this?
I would say, and it's not going to be easy, but I would say find a agent or find someone who does this and see if they can introduce you to their agent. And you'll need to get photos taken. You should go to a professional photographer who does this as a specialty, who takes photos for portfolios. And you've got to have thick skin. You're going to hear no far more than you hear yes. And I would just go take my shot. And the advice I would give to people is some people go, oh, I'm not good looking enough, or, oh, I'm not, maybe handsome enough. I'm the guy next door. I mean, I don't have a full head of hair. I'm the guy you would see in Publix or wherever when you go food shopping. So there's a role for everyone. So I would say get an agent. Be open to trying every and anything. Don't expect to make a living out of it. Although the more you do, they'll start coming to you, and the money does get better. The jobs I'm put in for now certainly pay better than they did 8 years ago. And just get better. Just get in, learn, get better, follow your passion, and have fun with it. And don't take it personally when you're not the right fit for what they're doing.
Okay. All right. I ran out of questions since we covered every little bit. You can find Tim on timothykentsmith.net. In reference to the book, actually, I do have a question. In reference to the book, where can they find the book?
They can buy the book through any bookstore can order it for you.
Okay.
The easiest way to get it would be to either go to the publisher, which is BookLocker. That's one word, booklocker.com
Mm-hmm.
/12864. That'll give you a synopsis. That'll tell you a little bit about me. It'll give everything you need to know. They can go to my website, actually, and the first page they'll come to will direct them to the publisher. But if they're in a Barnes and Nobles, they can order it. Their local bookstore can order it. I'm in several local bookstores. But I wrote the book as an indie author. And so it's hard to get in local bookstores because their shelf space is precious and they're held hostage by some of the big publishers. So that's a problem with that. They can certainly get it through Amazon as well, but I'd rather they go through the publisher, give them the business if they could.
Okay. So you said booklocker.com /1284?
12846. No, 12864.
12864.
Yeah, it's on the website. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Give me one moment.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Oop. There we go.
That's
booklocker.com /12864 is one place where you can get the book Behind the Hedgerows.
Right. They can get it as a paperback or ebook. So
okay. Or you can always go to timothykentsmith.net,
right.
and you can purchase the book on the front page. Like I said, I copied the synopsis. It's in the description of this video. So definitely check out Tim's book. And who knows, we may see him out there in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, out there picking up Emmys left and right. And if not the primetime Emmys, at least the daytime Emmys, or the SAG after awards, awards.
A better chance of seeing me at the Tampa airport.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, Tim, thank you so much for being on.
Joe, I have to ask you have a lot of your readers from the Jersey Shore?
You're super famous that you're going to be. And of course, there we go. Just as the time ends, of course, T-Mobile says, let's cut out the live stream. So, of course, that's why T-Mobile sucks when it comes to live stream. And I had warned our guests ahead of time that this was going to happen. Yes. So, but Tim, again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Yes. I wish you well. I wish you luck with everything. Anytime that anything new comes up, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to have you back on. It may be this live stream again. And hopefully more people will find us out here and have questions, much better questions than I would for you. But again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And, Joe, this book would be great for all you Philadelphia people going down to the Jersey Shore. It's a great beach read. It's quick. It's fun. It'll entertain you. And I just, if people read it and enjoy it, please leave a review. They help so much and mean so much. So thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast and watching it on YouTube. God bless you all. Give me one moment here.